Hello everybody! And welcome to our reviews of Juni Taisen Zodiac War Episode 8 in Like a Dragon Out Like a Snake Part 2, the second half of the Snake Dragon two-parter. Although this episode does not conclude Dragon's story, surprisingly. And joining me for the first time in 2 weeks, finally returning to these reviews, is VLordGTZ!
Hello.
Finally, you have watched this episode and are ready to record it.
Yeah, it was good.
I thought that you had gotten yourself killed like Snake did, and I, the responsible older brother, would have to continue on alone, just like Dragon.
Nah, I know how to stay away from weird guys with, like, sketchy rabbit outfits.
Sure, you're just irresponsible like Snake then, leaving it all to me to go on with the show. Just like how Snake abandoned and neglected to attend the trial, and Dragon had to defend the both of them.
I mean, we could have just recorded over Skype, but...
Sure we could have. We could have used Skype. That would have been a poor excuse. Because we could have easily recorded it at home. But you just decided not to watch the episodes.
Yeah, but I could have watched the episodes and then we could have recorded it later.
But these reviews, especially for Juni Taisen, need to come out before Tuesday to be relevant.
Yeah, we could have recorded it like Monday, but I don't know.
Could we have?
Yeah, we could have.
Aren't you busy Mondays? I'm busy Mondays.
I'm not busy Mondays, I'm busy Tuesdays.
Regardless, you're just trying to weasel your way out of blame. But it doesn't matter right now, because we are finally back together, and we are going to talk about Juni Taisen. We are back together. Unfortunately, the Tatsumi brothers will not be coming back together, because one of them is dead.
I mean, he's been dead since the beginning of the series, so...
Yes, but it is unfortunate because I thought that Snake was faking it, you know? Said as much.
He faked getting his head chopped off.
Yeah, I thought he had a plan. He was tricking Rabbit and going along with him, but in reality, he could regenerate or something.
Wouldn't it still have infected him, though? Because, like, Rabbit...
No, if he didn't die at all to begin with.
Okay. Who knows, yeah.
But that doesn't turn out to be the case. Rabbit really did kill Snake. Anyway, this is the second half of that two-parter about these brothers. And basically, most of the episode is a flashback exploring another side of Snake and Dragon's thieving antics, in which they exploit a corrupt pharmaceutical hospital, and basically one side of these two factions hires a different brother, and they both go along with it, and in the end, when the factions confront each other, Snake and Dragon, of course, kill the opposing side's faction, but they're in on it together. So they basically kill everyone and reap the rewards for themselves. But the most interesting takeaway from it,
they don't just steal the money and spend it on themselves.
Yes.
They take the money and then they distribute it back to, like, the common people, but in a way that is not necessarily morally right.
No, it's not that it isn't morally right, because it is a good thing from one standpoint, but
what ends up happening with that money is not good.
Yeah, I mean, that's on the onus of the people who receive it, but usually what ends up happening is that the greed of other people ends up invalidating the good deed because it causes more harm and bloodshed and despair for people that they're supposedly are helping by distributing this money to. But the thing about the Tatsumi brothers is that they aren't giving the money to the poor out of this Robin Hood-esque chivalry. No, they just find a decadent pleasure in taking money from the rich and redistributing the wealth. In using money from rich people and giving it to the poor. They just find pleasure in doing that in of itself. They don't actually want to help people, or they don't actually care about whether what they're doing helps people. They just like doing it for the shits and giggles.
Yeah, like, they focus on this one little kid who, like, lost his eyes from some experiment at like a hospital or like medical company or whatever.
Yes.
And like after they destroy the building, they kill all, like, the administration and all that stuff. They give the money to the boy and his brother to get his eyes healed.
Yes.
And then the Tatsumi brothers are hired to kill everyone affiliated with the hospital. So they burn down the building of the hospital. And, like, the boy's brother dies in the accident. And then later, the Tatsumi brothers see the boy, like, giving his brother a funeral. They're like, oh, hey, we killed your brother. Here's some money as an apology. Have fun with it.
Yes. The Tatsumi brothers cure the boy's blindness, but they also killed his brother. They are only in it for themselves. They don't care whether their actions help or hurt people, so long as it satisfies their own amusement. I really found that fascinating. I saw a lot of criticism of this episode over the net that people didn't find the Tatsumi brothers interesting, but I find that their approach to their thieving and what they do with the money and how they find pleasure in redistributing wealth, but not to help people, very fascinating. I thought it's pretty interesting. But what I feel is lacking about the episode is execution. For one thing, I am remiss that they do a disservice to this very interesting aspect about Snake, is that he runs this blog about reptiles, and he takes care of a lot of reptile pets, and when they die, he cooks and eats them, even though he doesn't enjoy the taste, because he's honoring their memory by eating them, consuming them into himself, and making them a part of him. So he has this very emotional side. He has this attachment to his pet reptiles, and he also genuinely loves reptiles in general, which is why he runs the blog. And in this episode, they just mention these things. We don't actually see them. We don't actually see the process. We don't see him raise that iguana he's eating at the end. We don't understand the connection he had to that animal. So when we see him eating it at the end, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. I feel like they're completely missing out on something very interesting with that character and humanizing him that they just, like, totally missed the ball on.
I think with that, they probably decided to skip over because Snake is basically dead at this point.
But it would have built characters so much better, and that's really the only purpose of these flashbacks, is to expand on these characters.
I think the flashback, they mainly just wanted to focus on the dragon aspect.
Even then, Dragon is not that distinguishable from Snake, other than he is more competent and less impulsive. Like, he is more responsible in that he actually attends the trial and he makes a case for himself and he's actually able to argue it well. Whereas Snake blows it off. The trial is interesting insofar as we see how the Zodiacs are treated by other nations and by the judicial system, in that they are allowed to operate outside the wall. They are allowed to operate outside the law, because basically they are permitted because
they're members of, like, the household families, like the Zodiac families. So like how
they have certain privilege because of their familial heritage and the fact that they belong to such powerful families and organizations. So even thieves like the Tatsumi brothers are basically allowed to get away scot-free from their thieving, provided that they don't break other rules of conduct. Like, the trial is not about the fact that they've been stealing money or that they've been killing people so much as they have been violating a warrior's code of conduct.
Yeah, by working on both sides of the conflict.
Yeah. They thought the judicial system of whatever country this is thought that was unfair and needed judicial hearing and perhaps punishment. But, of course, Dragon is able to make the case that, you know, they were hired separately and they did their job, so there was really no problem. And ultimately, because they are members of the Dragon and Snake clans, they have different moral standards than the rest of society follows because of what that entails.
Yeah.
Because of the responsibilities of their families. So that was very interesting. So there are a lot of interesting aspects about them, but I feel like in execution they could have gone way farther with depicting these things.
Yeah, I guess.
I do think that they really dropped the ball on making these characters more interesting. For a lot of people, it didn't really succeed. For me, I definitely find the idea of them intriguing, even if I don't know if they themselves are. Outside of snake and dragon stuff, because honestly, outside of the flashback, Dragon doesn't actually do anything.
He's just floating in air, like...
He just floats in air and this.
How does he do that?
That's just his power, is that he can soar above the clouds.
Okay then. Like, the one thing I'm wondering is how are they even going to kill him if he can just float in the air?
Well, I'll leave that to your imagination.
My guess is that Bunny kills him because, like, he can, like, infect birds and other flying animals.
Perhaps. I will tell you that this episode didn't adapt a whole lot of the Dragon chapter.
Yeah, I assumed as much, since I know in the novel, like, every chapter ends with one of them being killed. So, yeah.
The only part of the Dragon chapter they adapted had to do with what Ox and Tiger were doing in burning off Snake's corpse from them, and then having to deal with Snake's remaining torso and legs and whatever.
Yeah.
So, you don't even see the conclusion of that, even though where I am, because I have only read so far as the anime adapts, they haven't resolved that either. But that's basically all that is actually taken from the novel for this episode. Most of the episode is the flashback, which is completely anime original, though based on information we learned from the character bios in the light novel.
Okay.
The episode doesn't really even end on much of a tease of like what the future fight is going to be. It just says, oh, now Dragon's going to make his move.
Yeah, Dragon is going to do something instead of floating in the air for the entire battle.
Next episode is going to be about Rabbit, of course. So are we going to see two Zodiacs die in the same episode? I don't know.
Possibly, I mean...
Probably not. I mean, I assume that there isn't going to be a whole lot left for Dragon, so...
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they kill both Dragon and Rabbit in the next one.
I don't know. I think they'll save Rabbit for a little longer. I mean, they'll probably have to draw it out a little bit, because we still need to get his backstory. I think that, at the very least, what we get in each character-centric episode, if not the deaths, is the backstory of the titular Zodiac.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe he'll die in, like, the 3rd episode or something. Who knows?
10th episode.
10th, yeah.
Third to last, 10th episode.
Third to last, yeah.
So, I was not as disappointed in this episode as a lot of people. I saw a lot of people on Twitter and in reviews saying that, man, these Tatsumi brothers, they aren't interesting. The show has completely wasted all its potential. I'm still enjoying it. I found a lot of stuff.
The show wasted its entire potential off 2 characters?
Well, a lot of people have been losing interest in the show for some time, since Monkey's episode.
I don't know.
Well, I'm enjoying it. It seems you're enjoying it. It seems, based on how...
I like it.
You like it, but you don't think it's great.
It's not like... If I ever created, like, I don't know, Monogatari, to use another Nisu-Isan example, it's not nearly as, I guess, unique or, like, amazing as that, but it's a fun series. It's a fun, like, Battle Royale type series. Like, I'd say, like, I guess we were compared to other Battle Royales, like Fate or, like, Recreators. Like, Fate and Recreators are better. But Juni Taisen still is a fun kind of popcorn watch.
I agree. There isn't a whole lot of meat to the story, but it's just fun to see how the story plays out. And to see kind of the creative anticlimaxes these Yoizan writes to finish off many of the characters. And I do think the anime is doing a good job in some cases of fleshing out the material.
I mean, it's nice to see that they're actually making anime original content for it. Though I do think that, like, maybe, like, having, like, so much of this episode be anime original content was to its detriment. Instead of focusing on more stuff that was in the novels, like you said about the stuff with Snake.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's execution of the information we do have in the light novels about these things that could have been done better in this anime, because they have things mentioned, but they just don't show them in a compelling way.
Yeah.
I would like to see Snake raise his pet iguana in the last episode's flashback, for instance. And then in this episode, we see that he kills it. You know, instead of just, he's eating an iguana and he doesn't like the taste of why he's eating the iguana. I don't know, but it's information. Dragon has exposited that he runs a blog and he likes pets. I don't know. But, you know, I've been excited for Bunny's episode. I've been waiting to see what his deal is. I've been waiting to learn his backstory. So I'm eager for next week's episode and hope it will be very interesting. And I hope you guys join us along and continue watching through the final stretch. And hopefully the show ends on a high note, because it started out really strong, and I'm hoping it'll end strong.
Yeah, totally.
But until next week, we'll commend the show's efforts for trying this week anyway, so everybody clap your hands!
Woo.